preparing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're fixing to go live. Sorry. Okay, good morning. I will call the May 21st Commission meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning. Thank you everyone for coming to the meeting, and if anyone is watching live, we're utilizing our technological skills today, so we have Bill Jarocki that will be joining us via Teams for his agenda item. To get the meeting started, I think everybody has already signed in, so when you come to the podium, please state your first and last name and spell your last name as well. Is there any public comment on any subject not on the agenda that the Commission has jurisdiction over?
We got an email from MDT earlier this week, Monday. They are taking public comment on a proposed idea for 1 mile south of US Highway 12 into Winston to install a left turn lane at the intersection with Beaver Creek. Daleen was kind enough to put this on the website. They are taking public comment. I don't see real quick for how long. So this is not going to start right away. They're just in the process of taking public comment. That's all.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Any other public comment? Okay. Moving to our first agenda item, Tracy Kiesel, Broadwater County DUI Task Force Budget Presentation. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tracy Kiesel, and it's TRACIE-KIESEL. And I am here this morning to present the Broadwater County DUI Task Force Annual Plan, Budget, Meeting Calendar, and Member Contact List. I believe you have all 4 of those items, and you'll be happy to know that I'm not going to read you the full 18 pages of that plan. It's got a lot of data, but I think if we start with the other 3 items first, it'll probably make this go a lot quicker. With our meeting calendar, we are meeting every other month via Zoom, and that's going well. So the calendar is out there, and then the member contact list. We're kind of a skeleton crew right now, I feel like. But the 4 of us are doing things and getting done what we need to get done, and we're always looking for additional members. And I know, Commissioner Randolph, that you indicated that the county attorney would like to participate with us going forward, so I will start adding him to our emails, and then hopefully we can get the Highway Patrol to re-engage with us at some point. I know there's been some changes here with that particular position here in Broadwater County. So we're always looking for additional voices to come to the table and help with our efforts. So that's out there. And then our budget, last fiscal year, or this current fiscal year, we budgeted for $15,200, and our revenue comes strictly from DUI reinstatement fees. So anyone whose driver's license is suspended for a DUI, they pay a $200 reinstatement fee, and we get $100 of that $200 fee. So no county funds or anything like that. It's all reinstatement fees, and then just miscellaneous donations and revenue. Like last year, we got a donation from the Rotary Club, and a couple of years ago, we got a donation from an individual here in Broadwater County, left us some money in his will after he passed away, because he had been involved with our DUI task force, and so he left us a little money. So our annual revenue is all reinstatement fees and some miscellaneous donations. But in this current fiscal year, we've been really good stewards of our funds and haven't spent nearly what we projected to spend. We're looking at probably ending on June 30th with about having spent about $6,600 of the $15,000 that we projected. So we will carry over more than what we thought going into fiscal year 26 on July 1. And you can see down the column on the right-hand side of the page, all of the estimated expenditures. And let me go back and point out, too, the other piece of revenue that we get from House Bill 132. This current fiscal year, we got a significant amount more than what we projected. We thought we'd get about roughly 250, and we got just over 4,000. House Bill 132 passed several years ago, and what that does is for any county that doesn't have an established DUI task force, those $100 reinstatement fees go into a pot of money, and then that is split amongst the counties that do have an established and approved DUI task force. So that's a rather large amount of money, and I couldn't tell you if that means that more counties don't have established DUI task forces, or that more people got DUIs and paid reinstatement fees. I don't know how that breaks out, but that's a rather large influx of money for us for a small county. So then down that estimated fiscal year 26 column, we're supporting training and travel, some minor equipment and supplies, and then some operating things and some shifts with our sheriff's office, or if the highway patrol decides to do some extra shifts at any point during the year, just trying to get impaired drivers off the road. So we're looking at $17,400 for fiscal year 26, and then still leaving us with some rollover into the next fiscal year. We do have a little more money this year to put into special projects. That would be if someone decided they wanted to do something special here in Broadwater County. A couple years back, we had a 4-H club that came and wanted to do some stuff, put up some signs, and that was really a really good partnership for us. But if there's any other projects, or if anyone hears of projects in Broadwater County that would fit our mission and goals, we'd love to have them come and ask us for a little bit of money to help out with that. So there's our budget, and then the last item is our annual plan. The annual plan is due to the Montana Department of Transportation on June 1 of every year, and then they hand them to the governor's office for approval also. And I'm only going to point out a few things throughout this plan. It starts out with some statewide data, and it's important to point out on page 3 that every day 34 people in the U.S. die in motor vehicle crashes involving an impaired driver. So that's one death every 42 minutes, which is one death too many every 42 minutes for a preventable cause. Same type of statewide data going on to, I'm gonna skip, I'm gonna go to page 4 and point out a box at the top on the right-hand side of that graph, the green graph of the state. From 2013 to 2022, Broadwater County had 19 fatalities, and 26% of those involved a impaired driver. And then a little more statewide data. The goal of the Department of Transportation is 0, and that's our goal as well here in Broadwater County, is to reach that point of not having anyone die on the roads because someone was impaired behind the wheel. Page 6, the cost of alcohol abuse. The latest estimate is $870 million per year in lost wages and productivity, alcohol treatment and cost, healthcare, property damage, criminal justice, and other public and private spending for law enforcement, judges, those types of things when people are drinking and driving. And also on page 6 is some data, statewide data for unrestrained vehicle occupants in alcohol-related crash fatalities. I know you guys hear me say this every year. My main role in Lewis and Clark, Jefferson, and Broadwater counties is as the Buckle Up Montana coordinator. So I'm primarily trying to educate on seatbelts and car seats, and I'm also the statewide child passenger safety training coordinator for any certified car seat technicians with law enforcement and fire, all those fields. So it is important for people to know that alcohol in and of itself isn't the fatal cause in crashes. It's because people aren't wearing their seatbelts, so they're either partially ejected or fully ejected, and that's the main fatality cause in impaired crashes. Alcohol is a contributing factor in the crash, and unrestrained occupants are the cause of fatalities. So we do want to make sure that we're educating the public on the importance of wearing seatbelts and putting their children in child safety seats. And I'm happy to announce, and you would be the first group to hear this, Governor Gianforte signed a new bill last week enhancing our car seat law in Montana. We have had a law since 2011, our first primary child passenger safety law that indicates all kids under 6 years old or 60 pounds ride in child restraints. And we have revised that law to provide stages for that, break it down into stages. So as of October 1st of this year, all children under 2 must ride rear facing. 2 to 4 can ride forward facing in a harness, and children 4 and above in a booster seat until they reach the age of 9. And of course, parents, and many parents do keep their kids in those stages longer, and that is based off of best practice and changes to the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. So we're just keeping up with those things and trying to save more kids from injuries and fatalities on our roads. So that was a big milestone for us this year. The legislator that carried that, Mark Lee, is a fireman from Butte, and he is one of our longest standing car seat technician instructors in the state of Montana, and he's had he opened the first car seat fitting station in Montana in Butte, I believe in like 1998 or 99. So you are the first to hear that news today, and we're happy to be saving more kids' lives. So page 7 is a breakdown of what the Department of Transportation shows for the number of DUI task forces in Montana. As of a couple of weeks ago, they indicated there are 36 DUI task forces serving 39 counties and 1 tribal DUI task force that represents 5 of Montana tribes. So they combine their funding and their efforts with 1 DUI task force. Page 8 is just a little introduction to Broadwater County with the 2 law enforcement agencies. And then page 9 and 10, the Department of Transportation has changed their data system. And this is what they were able to provide me for data that's specific to Broadwater County from the years 2014 to 2023. And really, I haven't spent a lot of time digging into their new data or their new data system, but what they show is in Broadwater County, 6 alcohol impaired drivers accounted for 6 fatalities, or 30% of the total fatalities in Broadwater County for that time period. 3 were male, 3 were female. The 35 to 44-year-old males represent the largest group in that, which was two of those 6 fatalities were the 35 to 44-year-old males. And I think they point that out because that is predominantly statewide. That's that age group that is overrepresented in alcohol-impaired fatalities. And then they show if they happened on weekdays or weekends, and you can see that 67% of them happened on a weekend night in Broadwater County. Page 10 is a little more of MDT's new data showing BAC levels in crashes. 23% of drivers involved in fatal crashes in Broadwater County in that time period from 14 to 23 had a BAC of over twice the legal limit. And then the other chart shows whether those individuals had prior DUIs or not. So one of those individuals had a prior DUI. Let's see. Trying to decipher that chart there. 16% of the Broadwater County impaired drivers in fatal crashes had a prior DUI within 5 years of the date of the fatal crash. So that is the new data coming out of Department of Transportation's data system. And then page 11 is some of our underage data. Every couple of years, the Department of Public Health and Human Services has a survey that high school students do. It's an anonymous survey, and so they self-answer questions. They self-report on these surveys if they drink and drive or if they've been riding with someone who was drinking. And that data right now, and maybe you guys know this, maybe you can tell me, I have a feeling that Broadwater County hasn't been participating in that survey for a couple of years. Does that sound familiar?
I don't
Because
know.
they have no data in their system for Broadwater County at all. And sometimes that's because some counties are so small that this data could, with a small number of students, it just stands out and could cause some concern for it. But even small counties, like I looked at Jefferson County and some other smaller counties, and their data is posted for 2024, actually, and 2022. But Broadwater County is the only county that doesn't have any data posted. And so I sent an email to the new gal in that position and haven't heard back from her. And I imagine she's probably just getting her feet on the ground and trying to figure out her position. But I thought it was interesting that Broadwater County doesn't have any data, so I didn't know if you guys had any information that you are or aren't participating in it.
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
If I hear something, I'll shoot you an email that.
The graph on the students drinking in years is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like the different grades and the trends, and like 2018 is non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, right before, the 2-year span leading into COVID and that type of thing. But you can see in the first graph, drinking and driving, in 2016, 12th graders shot up significantly. So it's kind of a moving target. And again, they self-report these things. It's an anonymous survey that the students take with lots of questions to determine mental health and lots of things in there. And then the same with riding with somebody who's been drinking. The graph isn't as much of a moving target, but 8th graders, certainly in 2014, spent a lot of time riding with someone who had been drinking. That graph there, that bar just jumps right up the graph. So it's nice that came way down. The next chart there shows, in this same survey, the prevention needs assessment, they ask students where they get their alcohol. And so, again, that data is a little old. It's from 2020 because that's the last year that the PNA shows Broadwater County, that 8th grade students predominantly get their alcohol from home with and without their parents' permission, and from someone they know who is 21, age 21 or older. 10th grade students predominantly get their alcohol from home without their parents' permission, from someone they know 21 and older, and from someone they know under 21. 12th grade students predominantly get their alcohol from a party or a keg, from someone they know who is 21, older, and under 21, and from home with and without their parents' permission. So it's important for us to keep that in mind, because when we're educating the public and educating parents, that they need to know that providing alcohol or keeping their alcohol in locations where kids can't get it is important. And then starting on page 12 is our goal, and the goal has not changed for Broadwater County DUI Task Force since we started this in 2008. And Lindsay, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that over the years, when we started this, Tim Rickmeyer was part of our group, and I every time I drive over here, every time this time of year when we get to talk about all these names come into my head, Tim Rickmeyer and Ben Knapp and Brandon Harris, and just our old group that started this and got the ball rolling. So our goal is the same, reduce the number of motorists who drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, alcohol and drug-related crashes, injuries, and fatalities in Broadwater County. Then on to page 13, I'm just going to point out some of the things that we try to get involved in, and the first one is policy and legislation and supporting DUI laws, supporting primary seatbelt and child safety seat laws. The second one is enforcement, prosecution, adjudication, and training, and supporting efforts of our law enforcement officers, our prosecutors, and our judges. Sometimes that means funding overtime shifts or DUI-related equipment. We had, I believe it was might have been the beginning of this fiscal year, or maybe it was last fiscal year, that we helped put some cameras in some of our new vehicles for the sheriff's office, and that provides a lot of officer safety, and then also some support when those cases go to trial, and they can use that video in trial. And then on to page 14, supporting treatment and rehab programs, supporting our DREs, which are drug recognition experts, or advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement for our law enforcement here in Broadwater County. Same with page 15, supporting their training or things that would help them in their role as officers, and then our education, awareness. The bottom of page 15, supporting age-appropriate transportation alternatives for folks that are impaired. For Broadwater County and several of our counties in Montana, that's a hard ask. You don't have any public transportation systems here, and so that can be a difficult way to support. It's something difficult to support, but it's always on our radar to see if we can try to get folks home safely. Page 16, more of our educational efforts. We have a class called Your Community Matters, and that's a responsible alcohol sales and service training through the Department of Revenue. That class is mandatory for anyone who sells or serves alcohol in Montana, and it is within 60 days of hire, and every 3 years thereafter, they have to attend a class approved by the Department of Revenue. And there's many online options, but this is the Department of Revenue's in-person option. And It's a minimum of a 3-hour class, and I'm happy to report that that just changed this legislative session also, because there's 2 groups of people, and those are your on-premise folks and your off-premise folks. So off-premise would be your grocery stores, your convenience stores where people are getting alcohol, and on-premise is where they consume it there. The legislature just passed a law that they're going to split that class into 2, and it's going to be shorter. So off-premise folks would take I believe it's a 1.5 hour class minimum, and on-premise folks would take, I think theirs is still going to be 2-hour minimum. But there certainly are differences between those 2 groups, and right now people take the combined class. I'm actually a proponent of the combined class because many times those folks do end up crossing over into different, one day they might be, even in the same establishment, they could be working in the off-premise setting, and then maybe they work in the on-premise setting. And if they take the combined class, they don't have to come back for another training in that 3-year period. So we'll see how that goes for the Department of Revenue. And I used to hold these classes quarterly here in Broadwater County, but I found that as time went on and there were more online options for people to take, they were taking them at their own convenience online. And so I hold them in Lewis and Clark County, and then we just invite Broadwater County folks that want to attend it to come to Lewis and Clark County if they want to take a class in person. So we're still going to offer them, but it's becoming pretty infrequent that we have a class here in Broadwater County. And then page 17 shows lots of different times a year where there's high visibility enforcement or messaging, and we're getting ready to head into one of those, which is Memorial Day. Memorial Day kicks off our 100 deadliest days of summer. So from Memorial Day to Labor Day is when we see more crashes, injuries, and fatalities on our roadways. So we'll see more enforcement out. And then there's all kinds of other times a year: Townsend Rodeo, the Fall Fest, Teen Driver Safety Week, Christmas and New Year's, that we are trying to provide some education or support to those who are out there doing good things to keep people safe on the roads. The other piece that's key to Broadwater County is our annual Super Bowl party, our alcohol-free teen Super Bowl party. And we've been able to keep that going every year. And I made myself a note because we had an increase in students that attended this year. We had 36 middle school students and 30 high school students, compared to 2024 when we had 24 middle school students and only 14 high school students. So kids are coming back out. They're spending the evening with us watching the Super Bowl. We're providing food all night, and then we give away a lot of prizes at the end of the game. But that too was something back when Ben Naff, Tim Rickmeyer, and I we had collectively received a report, a study or a report letting folks know that Super Bowl Sunday was the day of year where the most alcohol was consumed, and the largest number of teens watch adults consume a lot of alcohol and do dangerous and terrible things. And so we decided back then, which I think it was, this might have been our 9th year, maybe even longer, that we've done this. We decided that if we could bring those teens together and provide a fun and engaging party, we watch the game, we talk about things, and we have a lot of fun, and we do it at the high school in the gym. So we've been able to keep that going. We've had a few years where we didn't hold it, but we're going to try to keep that going every year. And it's really interesting when kids get to spend time with law enforcement in a non-enforcing environment, just how many conversations are had and that type of interaction. So that is our whole plan. I brought my 2 cover pages, so I will, for just your signatures, if you're inclined to approve it today, but I'm happy to answer any questions too.
I've been on the DUI task force before I was a commissioner, and it's, last year I wasn't able to go to the Super Bowl. I must have been traveling. But the Super Bowl parties are fun for everybody. And you don't just give away prizes. You gave away significant prizes. We're talking TVs, all kinds of things. So that might help get them there, but they stay there because
Yeah.
they have fun. So
Yeah.
congrats, because
Sometimes
big
it
deal.
is just getting them there and then they stay. So it is a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah, I was, excuse me, I was thinking that, but are we good? We
Yeah.
did not have discussion. Okay, this
yeah,
was just,
I'm not worried about that.
it's just a sign.
It's not using
Yeah.
any county funds.
No, it's not. Okay, okay. Was one of these for us to keep, or do you need both signs?
Yeah, one for you to
Okay.
keep and then I can.
Excuse me. Jeez.
I didn't mention this either, but you guys have two, aside from me who covers Broadwater County, you have two certified child passenger safety technicians here. You have Johnny Spurlock at the sheriff's office, and then you have a young gal, and I can't think of her name right now, but she's actually a Bozeman Fire Department individual, but she lives here in Townsend, and so
Is it Gabby?
Gabby,
Yeah. she's
yes,
paramedic. Okay. Yeah.
Gabby. She is a certified car seat technician that can help families with the proper use and installation of your car seats. And I always make sure that they have the supplies they need. They have extra car seats on hand for families, and that their training and their recertification is supported by either my program or the DUI task force's funds.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And since we're going into a October 1, when the law changes, we will see more families who need supportive booster seats and rear-facing seats to keep their kids in those stages longer, and we're getting ready to be prepared to do that and support them.
What do they do? So I know personally, it was always recommended 2 years rear facing. I think we turned our son at 18 months because he was too big to sit rear facing anymore, and he was like pitching a fit. So do you have to get a new car seat for that, or are there ways to adjust the car seat?
Nowadays we have more infant-only seats that are bigger, that last for more height or more weight. But then there's that next convertible seat that's going to give more height and weight. And I think manufacturers have just designed them better over the years. And it can be a process for some parents to keep kids rear facing longer. And probably the most important thing is making sure that they're using the seat correctly. And I remember having a parent come to me one time, and the child might have been around 18 months, maybe just a little bit older than that, but not quite two, and having shared with me that the child's just having a rough time in their car seat every trip. And when I got to lifting that child out of the seat, we ended up finding is that car seats come with what's called lower anchors. And sometimes it's bundled up, they're webbing, they got these little hooks and they're bundled up and packaged. And that particular little package of stuff ended up being behind the child, right at their back. And when we discovered this together, it was really clear that there was good reason why this poor little person was hating every single solitary ride, because this hard thing's just digging into their back. So making sure that things are adjusted and fitted properly. But when we keep kids rear facing, their whole head, neck, and spine is supported. And if we could ride rear facing, we'd be safer in crashes too. But when kids are new and fragile and their head, neck, and spine development is critical, keeping them rear facing longer. But the good thing is that car seats are advancing and they're getting more comfortable and user-friendly for adults, or for children and adults to use, and that's a good thing for kids.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for what you do.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I will take
There you
one of
go.
my copies. Thank you for letting me come down today. It was probably
Thank
one
you.
of the-
Yes.
The beautiful day.
I know, well, I know.
Take care.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, next up, we have discussion. Bill Jarocki, County Administrative Officer, on the 2026 budget process.
Good morning, everybody. This is Bill, and I'm on the television screen. Jarocki, J-A-R-O-C-K-I. I'm the County Administrative Officer. Before I start in, I just want to make a couple comments on DUI Task Force. I thought that report was excellent. When I was in Idaho working for the Association of Cities, I was chairman of the Traffic Safety Commission for the state. And we worked with Mothers Against Drunk Driving and did quite a bit of work and understand the role that alcoholism has on traffic safety. Just a kind of a weird and fun note, perhaps more fun for me than anybody else, is when I changed my auto insurance come to Indiana, my rate changed by $500 every 6 months.
Whoa.
Decreased
Oh.
because of two
Driving,
factors.
yeah.
One is alcoholism in Montana is higher than it is here, and also there's a lot more critters on the road. So I think the combination of those two things really drives up insurance rates in Montana. So anything we can do to reduce drunk driving is probably going to help on the insurance side for a lot of people.
Agreed.
Thank you for giving me time to talk with you this morning. This was originally planned to be on the agenda for the preliminary budget presentation. We're not there yet, but I want to give you just a quick update. Next week, on the 28th, I'll give you a more in-depth view of the preliminary budget for the county. Just a couple of points I want to share with you this morning. We had a May 6th deadline for the operation and maintenance budgets to be prepared by the departments. We did pretty good. We got most of them, but there are a handful of departments' budgets that are overdue. I gave a message out to them this morning asking for that information, and we'll be pulling that together going into your next meeting, into your meeting next week. One of the things that the public should know is that we are going into a tight budget situation for fiscal year 26. It seems like we have a significant amount of new money at $176,000 or so. That comes from two major sources, the floating mills property tax that we use, and also a small increase in state entitlement share. But most of that money is going to be used by the 2.5% cost of living adjustment that the commission approved last week. So we are going to be tight. I am going to be looking for ways to gain efficiencies on the O&M budgets going into next year. And you'll see that as we present the preliminary budgets in next week's meeting. That $176,000 in a normal $10 million budget or so is 1.8% of the budget. So there's not a lot of wiggle room for new things for next year. And we have to keep that in mind as we go forward, looking for efficiencies and ways to save money going forward. So the process that we have from this date is to assemble all the preliminary budgets. I'll give you statistics on those, present that next week. After that, we'll fine-tune those preliminary budgets with your guidance as we move toward the end of June adoption of the county budget. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
I have a request. Bill, I know we're all very close to the budget, but for anybody watching online or might watch this later, would you again explain the 1.8% increase? I'm not sure the public understands that. They see all the new houses and they think we've got another extra $1 million. So would you repeat that?
Sure, I'd be happy to repeat that. So we have mill values that increase as well as the number of floating mills. Those work together to create an amount of money that we call our floating mill revenue. In FY25, our floating mill revenue was about $2.4 million. In FY26, for FY26, we used the previous year's final mill value and number of mills to predict how much floating mill revenue we have for next year. The difference, what we're going to have for this year in FY26, we're going to have $2.56 million. The difference between those two numbers is $169,000. In the state entitlement share funding that we get from the state of Montana, that dollar amount is increasing by $7,306. So combined, it's $176,000, just a little bit over that, $176,000 of new money to spend in our budget. The reason why we have increased value from development and doesn't translate into our budget is we have a statutory limit on the amount that we can increase our budget each year. The statute that we're working under for this year is half of the rate of inflation averaged over the past 3 years. So if inflation is 3%, we get half of that at 1.5%. And so we don't get as much growth as you see in new value coming into the county. What we really need is more value coming into the county. And what we would prefer is commercial and industrial value. And we're working hard on seeing that to happen in the southern end of the county in our targeted economic development district. That's what we prefer. Even when even when $1 million home comes into the county, only a certain amount of that is taxable. And that amount then is added, but in total, we can only increase by half the rate of inflation. If that kind of makes sense to people who are trying to do math, I think what I'll do next week and as we move forward on the budget is provide more detail on that so everybody understands that even when value increases in the county, we don't necessarily see that in our budget.
Thank you, Bill. I think that was one of the best explanations of a very complicated subject that I have heard, so thank you.
I also want to add something. The push for commercial and industrial businesses, that helps break up that tax base. It contributes to the tax base because they're usually taxed at a higher rate. It helps relieve residents more without putting more demand on county services, or as much demand as a lot of new incoming homes do, new residences. And also with that, I mean, our development is definitely slowing down, and there's multiple reasons for that. One of which is water and subdivision process and what's going on legislatively, what's happened judicially. So we're not seeing. Yes, there was a big influx for a while, but that isn't continuing as of right now. They were getting some new stuff, but not nearly what we were.
Great point. The effect on the economy, national policy's effect on the economy also affects developers and development. Final note that everybody should keep in mind is that The public safety department is going to be significantly affected by the loss of the levy that we have for public safety, and we'll be bringing those effects to the forefront when we discuss the public safety budget in conjunction with the entire budget. And so the county budget is going to go down. It's going to go down in terms of total volume, but we are still running a tight ship. Revenues will go down as well as expenses.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I don't have any
No,
others.
I don't either.
Is there any comments, public comment on this topic at all? No? No? Okay,
Thank you, Bill.
thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. All right, last agenda item. Discussion today, TJ Gravely, Public Works Director, Solid Waste Business Assessments.
Good morning, Commissioners. TJ Gravely, Public Works Director, GRAVELEY.
Good morning.
How's everybody this fine and lovely day?
Just great.
Yeah.
So this has been a process for roughly 8 months of trying to make everything fair and transparent for the public, for businesses. This was brought forward basically to define what you would fall under as a business. And I do feel that we have made great efforts trying to be fair to everybody. I know that there's some stuff that we need to discuss here after I kind of go through some of this with county buildings and whatnot, county departments. But before we start that, I want to tell you that I have reached out to Lewis and Clark County and every one of their buildings. If you are in the city, you pay the city. If you are in the county portion, you pay a county portion. So I just want that out there, that our services at the solid waste are not a free service. And this department, when I took this department over, was in a huge deficit. What we're trying to do is bring it out of that hole. And I think we have done a pretty good job managing the way it is now. But what we want to do is define, like I said, these businesses moving forward. And like I said in the past, I probably won't get every single business out there. But this is a good starting point for us to classify these businesses in. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution just so you guys have it in front of you. I did make the changes from last week. I did not provide you a copy until next week of the changes that were made, because I don't want to sit here and keep changing and changing and changing and give you guys more paper to deal with. Because in a sense that ends up in my department and I got to throw it away. Okay, this is a resolution of the Broadwater County Solid Waste District Business Assessment Fee Schedule. Whereas 713-231 MCA states, to defray the costs of maintenance and operation of the Solid Waste Management District, the board shall establish a fee for service with the approval of the county commissioners, provided that a hearing has been held if written protest has been made as provided in 713-211. An increase in fees may not be approved and implemented unless the notice of the increase has been given and provided 713-209 and 713-211. And whereas Broadwater County Solid Waste Board recommends business assessment fee schedule to the Broadwater County Solid Waste District No. 1 fee policy and schedule of charges as set forth in the attached. Whereas the resolution affects all parcels within Broadwater County Solid Waste District, which is comprised of all parcels located in Broadwater County, Montana. Whereas a public hearing will be held, says will, but will be held May 28th, 2005 at 10 a.m. at the Flynn Building, 416th Broadway Street, Townsend, Montana. The Broadwater County Commission considered all public comments and objections provided at this public meeting, and all written public comments and objections submitted by the deadline, and now therefore it be resolved that a public hearing was held to receive written and oral comments and objections on May 28, 2025 at 10 a.m. before the Broadwater County Commission in the Flynn Building, 416 Broadway Street, Townsend, Montana. Be it further resolved, the Broadwater County Commission considered all written and oral comments and objections on the assessment fee schedule of charges for Broadwater County Solid Waste District. Be it further resolved that the Broadwater County Commission adopts the recommended amendments to the Broadwater County Solid Waste District fee policy and schedule changes, see attached. Okay, business assessment fee schedule. This is your attachment. Each single dwelling unit on the tax rolls will be charged one assessment. Each house, cabin, apartment, condominium unit, rental unit, mobile home, summer home, vacation rental, and any other structure deemed habitable is considered a dwelling. Number 2, each business will be charged a minimum of 2 assessments. A business is defined as an organization or enterprise engaged in commercial, industrial, or professional activities regardless of the number of lots or parcels of land. Number 3, buildings serving as both a residence and a business will be charged a minimum of 2 assessments, that is generating at least 20% more waste than the average family residential unit in the district that do not contain more home-based businesses. Number 4, a business with both a bar and restaurant on the same parcel will be charged a minimum of 8 assessments. Number 5, rural and volunteer fire departments shall not be charged an assessment. Nightly lodging, motels, hotels, bed and breakfasts will be charged 1 assessment for every 5 rooms. 7, each organized campground or fishing camping access will be charged 1 assessment per parcel. A school will be charged 1 assessment for every 35 students. Commercial campgrounds and facilities for temporary recreation vehicles, trailers, and/or tents will be charged 1 assessment per 5 spaces. Many storage warehouses will be charged 1 assessment up to 100, 2 assessments up to 200, 3 assessments up to 300, 4 assessments up to 400 units, 5 assessments. You kind of get the picture. Each church will be charged 1 assessment. If it has a parsonage, there will be charged an additional assessment. Community halls, event centers, wedding venues, music venues hosting events shall be charged 3 assessments in addition to other assessments. Each resident or business owned by a nonprofit will be assessed at the same taxable properties. The schedule of charges and assessments apply to both occupied and unoccupied structures and campgrounds and recreation sites. New construction wishing to utilize county facilities shall pay a full fee during the year of construction prior to the evaluation of the Department of Revenue by contacting the Broadwater County Public Works Department. The full fee will be prorated at 1/2 of the request in 6 months prior to the next scheduled tax assessment, and the fee will be added the following year ahead of the Department of Revenue's evaluation. Veterans will who are 100% disabled, receive a solid waste decal free upon verification. Hospitals will be assessed 10 assessments for the first 20 beds and 1 assessment for every 5 beds thereafter. So then we broke it down a little bit more into 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 10 plus units. This is where our discussion will more than likely take place. One assessment, apartments, that is on a per unit. Right now, we have not been charging as a per unit. It is one building, and we are missing out on several people using that facility without having to pay for it. Barbershops, beauty salons, Bible camps, bus depots, cabin rentals, campground parks per 5, camps, churches, doctor's offices, excavating companies, freight offices, home, hotels per 5 beds, janitorial service, kennels, milk distributors, motels per 5, nursing homes per 5, offices, parsonages, propane companies, railroad stations, schools per 35 students, studios, ranches, public and plumbing and heating, construction companies. 2 units would be bakeries, banks, refrigeration, car washes, cleaners, clubhouses, lodges, concrete companies, cycle shops, daycare centers, delis, drugstores, coffee shops, food processors, funeral homes, feed store, garages, glass shops, laundromats, liquor stores, greenhouses, machine and welding shops, repair shops, retail shops, taxidermists, and trailer sales. 3 is your brewery, distilleries, body shops, community halls, clubs, gas stations, meat markets, tire shops, and veterinarians. 4 units, restaurants and cafes, bars, sheriff's office and jail. And then you get to the 10 units. It's your grocery store, your hospital, your post office, and your industrial facilities. So I think now we need to have a discussion as far as being transparent, fair, and equitable to county buildings. I guess the discussion got kicked off roughly a week ago when I had the sheriff's office on there at 4 units. I do think the sheriff's office should receive 1, but the jail should receive 3, because the jail is housing Department of Correction people who is paid by the Department of Correction. I do feel that they generate an awful lot of garbage when they have to have a garbage tote go out on wheels every day. That's a pile of garbage. Public health, we're looking at 1. Road department would be a half, because most of theirs is not. The only thing that they would have is basically cardboard. The Flynn building would be probably 1/2, unless the 4-H comes in, and the courthouse, I believe, should be 4.
Courthouse 4.
Yeah.
You said sheriff's office, jail. What was the second one? The road shop. Was that-
Half.
Road shop was half.
Kind of like Allison with the Flynn building.
Okay.
Just so I make sure, the sheriff office was 1, jail was 3, public
Yep.
health was 1,
Yep.
road half, Flynn half, courthouse 4.
Correct.
Okay.
And for assessments, 265 times 4.
Correct.
I can't do that in my head. Sorry, I'm not that fast. 1,000. What does that come out to?
A little over, yeah, 1060.
We did it.
I can ballpark it, but
I can ballpark it too.
yeah,
Just add
it's
15
really sad.
onto it. Times 4.
Sad that I just admitted that publicly. I can do that in my head real
What's
fast.
15 times 4, Lindsay?
Yeah. Shh.
Yeah.
Quiet. You. All right. Huh. Okay. Who would like to start this
Question,
discussion?
comments?
Yeah.
Let's get this ball started.
Raise your hand high, please.
Commissioner Randolph, I know you're wanting to say something.
Well, and we have looked at this, all of us, and the Solid Waste Board and the staff have looked at this over and over. But sometimes you don't catch things until they're read. So there's my disclaimer. The very first, on the first page, number 2, each business will be charged a minimum of 2 assessments. But then on page, where you start your breakdown, there's 1 assessment for all these businesses. So just and editing.
How to clarify that?
Why did you not catch that long before?
You would think 8 months ago I would have, but sometimes when you hear it out loud, and you know I've edited this thing a lot, so I apologize. I think you just get rid of that whole line, but
The one thing that I will
agree.
say,
I agree.
yeah, just get rid
Just
of
take
that whole line.
out. That's helpful.
One thing I'm going to tell you right now is the business assessment numbers as a whole will not change very much. Most of this is just for clarification and classifying because it has never been done. So when somebody comes into my office and says, well, why am I getting charged that? I don't have a valid answer to say, that's because you
Right.
produce that much garbage. If we can do this, it will clean up the whole avenue of the businesses.
Agreed. I think the thought that came to mind for me was when this all came up a week ago, was if we were working with a private contractor for solid waste, we would all have to pay the private contractor.
100% you would.
And so this is an enterprise fund. You are not supported by the county. Solid waste, let me specifically say solid waste is not supported by county tax dollars other than the separate assessment that people pay for this. So it has to be run like a private business, 100%. So I would support it. I mean, again, this is not making or breaking a budget.
No,
But
we're pretty unique in this aspect that we're under the county umbrella, but in a sense we're not. And it has to be run as a business. If this would have been ran as a business in previous years, this department would not be in the situation it was in.
Fair. I think there was some confusion of, basically we're paying solid waste with taxpayer money, and it was brought up, it was said, what if, does that make sense since people are already paying their assessments? Or does that make sense? Sorry, I'm not making good sense. That taxpayers are already paying an assessment for trash and they're paying their tax dollars. So we're now using tax dollars to pay the solid waste for this.
which is
Hold on, you basically already said that. We're basically a private business.
Right, so because that was brought up to me, my point toward that, or to that, is that we are a private business, and this is the cost of doing business for the county. The cost
Exactly.
of doing business. So that's how I would answer that discussion point that was brought up to me,
it's
just like any other cost.
if I may, it's similar to tax money, basically runs the county. There's other things, obviously, grants and fees and et cetera.
Yes.
So tax money goes to when we buy paper, when we buy everything that we purchase, unless it's grant funded, to a private business. Solid waste is a private business within a government entity.
It is. When
That's
I
the easiest
license
way.
my vehicles at the road department, when I get a new vehicle, I go up to the treasurer's and I get a bill for that. Granted, it's not at full value, but it's covering the cost of the plate and the administrative charge,
Yeah, my
which
thought was,
is tax dollars.
my thought was similar to yours. It's no different than any other utility that we already have to pay. The water bill, the power bill.
Yes.
Correct.
It's all part of the
Yes.
utilities that we have to pay.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm
I'm
sorry I
pretty
wasn't
sure you guys are
articulating that
paying-
best, but that's what I was getting
I
to
have-
as a response to that comment that we had received.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but you are paying the city for garbage
Yes,
and
Yeah.
water.
yes.
Yeah,
It's the exact same point.
yeah, absolutely.
So on that note, Madam Chair, I have a question for TJ.
Yes, please.
Can you explain, because we are going to get this question a lot, we already have, a business in the city already pays the city, as you just said, on their water, sewer, garbage bill. Explain in simple terms.
Absolutely. The city is a service for pickup. They are providing you a service to pick up your trash. The difference is that trash comes to the transfer station, is dumped on the floor, they sort it there, and then we haul it to Lewis and Clark County as of right now. So what they're giving you in the city is just no different than Tri-County if they come in. It is a service for pickup. We provide the rest of it.
And
with-
may I interrupt you?
Correct.
That driving the truck from the transfer station to Lewis and Clark, we pay the gas.
Well, we pay the
staff.
diesel, we don't pay the
And-
gas.
Well, okay.
The fuel.
It's a guy
The
thing.
fuel.
We pay the
The
diesel,
fuel
we
and
pay
the tipping
Yes.
fees.
Yes, we do, and we have the wear and tear on the trucks and putting
Exactly.
new tires on and things like that.
Thank you.
I apologize for interrupting.
Which again, this would make us like every other landowner in the city.
Absolutely.
They're
Absolutely.
paying the
Yeah.
city to pick up the trash, and we're paying the solid waste for the tipping fee, basically.
So even like, to get back to Debbie's point there a little bit, Tri-County comes in here and offers a service for pickup.
Correct.
I think there's 245 people. We still pay that trash. People think that that is part of their garbage.
Yeah.
No, it's not. We still have to pay the tipping fees. We still get a bill from Tri-County every week.
That's why the
That's
solid
just the-
waste fees are on their tax bills as
That is
assessments.
why that is on
I just don't
there.
think we can say that enough.
That is to cover the
You know,
cost
we
of the
are
garbage
asked that on a
transportation.
regular
Just the
basis.
pickup fee.
Yep.
It is confusing, I get it. I didn't understand all this.
It is, and I will be honest that I didn't understand it when I first got in there. I'm like, well, I already pay this.
Yeah.
Why am I paying this?
Right.
But through education, I have found that I was wrong. And much like most of the public. But I think that you're right, that the more we get that out there, that they are just receiving a service, the better off we are.
I think a lot of the confusion is, I don't know if they understand that when Tri-County picks it up, that they're delivering it to Broadwater County.
Correct.
I think in their head, they take it and they haul it away to landfill.
Yeah, Tri-County comes across our scale every Monday.
So what I think what I would like to just reiterate, and hopefully this will, and I know there's some people that watch these meetings later on and after the fact, is please reach out to our Public Works with questions. When
Please
you have
do.
questions, if there's things you understand, please reach out and ask. And
I'm very easy
They will
to
be
find.
explained, yeah.
I am in there Monday through Thursday. Misty's in there Tuesday through Friday, and it is very hard to get out of that office. So we are there most of the time.
And this is going to be on the agenda for a decision next week, I believe.
Yes.
And so it would be great if people who have questions would reach out this week. Ask us questions, ask you guys questions. Let us know if there's a thought or something we haven't thought of. We would love to hear it because I know there's things we miss. When you're close to stuff, it's easy to miss things. But I think we've talked about it a lot. Like you said, this has been an 8-month process with a very active solid waste board assisting. So again,
The bad part about taking this long to do it is you get very complacent in looking at this stuff. And you kind of overlook it every time we go through this, there's something.
Yeah.
Last week I started reading, I'm like, oh my. You guys have any other questions?
I'm sure I have two quick
Yes,
questions
please.
for Director Gravely. The canister sites are fully staffed now, is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I want to thank the citizens, first of all, for following the rules and it was tough to get through the last 2 years. But the sites are doing great. People are not littering and leaving as much stuff. And they're fully staffed right now. So thank you.
So our Winston site, our Winston attendance last day was yesterday, I believe. And we've already had a guy trained and he will be there on Thursday. June 1st is our Dry Gulch site, his last day, and he will train, I believe next week is when we're going to train him. And our transfer station, we brought him a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and he has been trained. Everything's been going pretty smooth so far.
Good.
There's going to be bumps, but knock on wood, it has been going remarkably well.
it's great.
Yeah.
Good to hear. I'm sure it'll get busier with summer. So
It has picked up.
yeah.
It has picked up.
Again, if there's questions about what can be dumped where, please call Public
Call
Works.
9212.
Yes. look on our web.
Or
The
9207.
county website has the information as well, so.
County website is very
Yeah.
good as far as where you can find us at.
And I think that has the dump hours, correct?
It
And
does.
everything on it as well, okay. So, all right, thank you. Thank you. All right, our last bit here, we've got Parks and Recreation Board, Advisory Board bylaws to be approved. Parks and Rec approved this at last month's meeting. They just had a meeting Monday, but they'd like to get this fully done and signed. Did anyone have questions? I know we've had some discussions on bylaws as we move forward, just continuing to review and just kind of simplify some of our bylaws, but were there any specific questions on this?
I don't have any.
I don't either.
Okay. Did not. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll move to approve the Broadwater County Parks and Recreation Advisory Board bylaws.
I will second that motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the Broadwater County Parks and Recreation Advisory Board bylaws. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Just gonna send that page down. Thank you. Okay, minutes. We have minutes from May 14th. I think everybody's had a chance to look at these. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the minutes from May 14th.
I will second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve minutes from May 14th. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, we have 3 sets of claims today. First one is payroll for $284,327.16.
I'll move to approve the claims in the amount of $284,327.16.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve claims for $284,327.16. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Right, next set of claims is for $33,164.72.
I would move to approve the claims in the amount of $33,164.72.
I will second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve claims for $33,164.72. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. last set of claims is for $24,944.15.
I will move to approve claims in the amount of $24,944.15.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve claims for $24,944.15. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, I don't have anything else. Would you like to add some?
A couple of quick things. The Public Works office, which means solid waste office, will be closed on Friday. And our building, all of our buildings are closed on Monday for Memorial Day weekend. And then next Wednesday, Congressman Downing will be here at 9 o'clock. That will be on the agenda. But if anybody in the public wants to attend, and I'm sure he will have time for questions.
Yep, and it's going to be prior to the commission meeting, so it's not part of the commission meeting. He will be here at 9. And then I know he does have another appointment at 9:45, so it won't be a long thing. But if you would like to attend, please come. All right, I think that's it. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, ma'am. That worked well.